Hi, welcome to the Dive In. I am your host, Kathleen, and today my guest is Kat.
Hi.
Um, Hello. Yay. I'm so excited to have her back. Last time, if you guys remember, we talked about Beetlejuice, the movie, and of course, I had to have her back to talk about Beetlejuice, the
The
musical.
musical.
We both went and saw it together about 2 weeks ago. And it was a very different take from the movie.
Yeah.
I will say they did warn us in the very beginning of the show because they were like immediately Beetlejuice walks on stage and he's like, "We're talking about death. Wow, what a far departure from the original content. What do they think they're doing?" So there is a fair warning in the very beginning of the musical. The opening scene started with Lydia singing a song called Invisible, and it is her at a funeral for her mother, which does not happen in the original movie at all. Uh mm,
No, we don't even really know what exactly happened with her mom in the movie. They don't talk about it at all. We just know that Delia is a stepmom.
yeah. Um yes, that is a fact. Um
Um, I will say that I thought it was interesting that they leaned so heavily into her mom in this story about what happened to her, how it's affected Lydia, how it's affected her dad, like all of this. Because it's like we get nothing from the movie,
y-
and it's like her dad is nowhere in a grieving state, so whatever happened, it happened a long time ago, because there's not even like an inkling of a conversation where she's like, why is this not bothering you, like there's nothing like that in the movie. So it's like it obviously was long enough ago that it's okay for him to be married and stuff now. So it was interesting
yeah.
that that was the bold choice that they took, and they like ran with it.
Yeah, because I mean they had him dating Delia, like I mean right after the funeral. And even Delia at one point says, "Oh, I'll have to check my pay stubs to see how long we've been dating," which is just like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh that's kind of intense to make a statement like that. But yeah, like what to add on to what you were saying, like this focused so much on Lydia and Beetlejuice, which is a very far departure from the movie, which focuses on Adam and Barbara and their experience with death and accepting that process versus Lydia accepting the death of someone else. So,
Right.
yeah, it was,
Yeah, Adam and Barbara seemed almost like these side characters, like
yeah,
intermediate, like they weren't necessarily side characters, but they were like secondary main characters.
yeah,
And uh whereas in the movie they were the main characters.
yeah. Um, yeah, and they excluded that cat that drove him off the bridge, which was so sad.
It was a dog. Don't even blame the cat for
Oh,
that,
the
Kathleen.
dog! I'm sorry. The last two movies I watched had cats in them. I'm sorry. There's
It was
a
a
mo
dog. It was
there's
out to
a
get
there's a
him.
movie that's out right now, and it's the prequel to A Quiet Place, and they have a cat like in this world where you're not allowed to make sound, otherwise this monster comes out and attacks you. They have a cat that apparently makes no sound, and the monsters don't care about it. And it can apparently
Well,
hold its breath for an extended period of time.
okay,
Yes,
sure.
yes. So I'm like, my brain is just like all about cats. Uh,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah, but yes, the
Um,
dog.
the
They did
dog.
not.
Yeah, they totally changed how they died this time,
Yeah,
which was a weird way to die. Um,
yeah. Like they first of all, they introduced Beetlejuice off the bat and being like, "Oh, these people are about to die, and I'm gonna get them. Like this is gonna be my way, my ticket into the human world is by being around these people." But it was, which is very strange. Like, how does he know they're gonna die? Who, like, that was not something that was known in the movie, so it seems strange that he was able to know that. And they
Mm-hmm.
actually made Beetlejuice like an actual demon in this versus like in the movie. I'm pretty sure he was just like a ghost that went on his own, thinking that he could do stuff to come back to life. I think he
Yeah,
just
he
went
was well,
rogue.
he was in training underneath of Juno in the movie
Yeah,
to like kind of be that guide for these people that were dying and like kind of help them, ease on into the afterlife kind of
yeah,
thing. And but then he decided to go rogue because he was like, what's really fun? Possessing
hmm,
and scaring humans and that's the real fun. Let's teach like ghosts how to haunt. That would be great. And
yeah,
so that was like his way to do that. Whereas in this movie, it was like he just wanted to be human. That was all he wanted. Like he
yeah,
wanted out of the state that he was in, and he wanted to be human. And he like spotted a target, basically.
yeah, yeah. Which I don't know. I still don't know how I felt about the concept of this because it yeah, it doesn't sit nearly as well as the other concept from the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
music was very well sung and very entertaining. And I will say
Yeah.
Beetlejuice was hilarious. He had the entire audience laughing and was interactive at times too, which was really fun to see. Uh,
Oh yeah. Him
yeah,
breaking the fourth wall was just perfect. Like the moments were great, the callbacks were great. Like he had, just like the classic picking that one guy in the audience and just coming back to him every single time. It was
yep,
hilarious. So
yes,
definitely had great writing
hmm,
in terms of audience participation.
yes,
The like you said, songs were sung beautifully. I mean, we've heard the songs before seeing the
yes,
musical, and so it
so
was
many
definitely
times.
different seeing them on stage.
Yes, I will say I think because I'd only seen the movie and then I heard the songs, I kind of was able to place some of the songs with the movie and have my own interpretation in my head as to what the show was going to be like. It was not that at all. Not even close.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Uh,
because you're listening to these songs expecting it to fit somewhere in the movie as a
yeah,
whole. Whereas in the musical, the movie was essentially the first act. And then after that, they were just making it up after, like they're
yeah.
just like doing what they want after that. So it was like I remember we finished the first act and we looked at each other and you're like, where are they gonna go from here? And I'm like, I don't know. They're off the rails now, like really off the rails.
Yeah, and like I will say they were I want to say that they were limited to their set, but honestly, even in the movie, they were in the house the whole time, with the exception of when the Maitlands died and when they were in well, they had an afterworld there too. So like they really weren't limited for sets. Like they just chose to depart from everything else because they felt like it and really
Mhm.
for no other reason. Uh but another thing that that really stood out to me, and I know you're going to agree with this, was the characters themselves were so different from the characters in the movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
no,
Delia, completely different character. Oh my gosh, I was telling you, she
yes.
reminded me of the girl from Despicable Me,
Yeah,
Gru's like wife or whatever. Like,
yeah. Yeah, like I think she looked just like Gru's wife, like you said. I mean, she had the image, and I don't know if that was just the actress, but like definitely the wig, the hair, the bangs, like it gave her those
absolutely.
vibes. But yeah, in the movie, she's very, I mean, she considers herself an artist, and she's very eccentric, but she w was still like kind of trying to like be impressed by this, or not be impressed by, but she was trying to like earn the respect of this guy that she held up on a pedestal. But then she comes in and she's just this kind of ditzy woman who yeah, I mean she was just kind of more of a ditzy character in this. Like they made her, I think she was a life coach for Lydia
Yes.
to help her get over her mother while she was under her father. You're welcome for that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating because it was like Catherine O'Hara took herself so seriously. Like her
Yeah.
deal took herself very seriously. She was a professional artist
Yes.
and like excelled at that. It felt like this character didn't really take herself seriously. Felt like everything was kind of jokey and just like oohed and awe over her life coach or whatever he was. And
Guru.
versus just being somebody that she looked up to. Yes, her guru, that was what they called it. Yeah. Um, and instead of just being this person that she idolized, it was, or like looked up to, I guess, as far as artist goes and what his opinion was, now it's this guru that she like literally like worships. I
Yeah.
felt like it was just a very different take. It was uh yeah, I mean, because she looked so much like that girl from Despicable Me, I just kept thinking it was Kristen Wiig. Like, I was like, this is very Kristen Wiig character versus a Catherine O'Hara character. Vastly different actresses here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so different. And then speaking of her guru, what was his name? Ola? It's not
Oh,
Olaf.
though.
Also, like he wasn't
Yeah.
in the first act at all. I thought for sure they had just cut him completely. And then when he did show up, he was awful. He like seemed like he was the
I
leader of a cult, and then he like was there for like did he end up dying? I don't even remember because he was so forgettable.
yeah. I did not like the way that they either wrote him or chose to act it. Like, I don't know where the decision lied in his personality, but
Yeah.
him being this like over the top, also like extremely eccentric, like in a ditzy way, it was like uh, I don't know. I just there was enough goofy and silly and other like crazy things going on that it was like those more serious character or those characters that think that they're serious, though that's where like the funny is in these kinds of shows. It's
Yeah.
like it's supposed to be a horror, right? Like this is supposed to
Yeah.
be scary. This is supposed to be about death. And so it's like all these people that take themselves very seriously, but really they're hilarious because you're like, you are you really taking yourself serious? Like that's the funny. And so them being like so over the top, there were a couple of um characters in the show that were a little too much, given
Yeah.
the atmosphere of the setting of the show.
Yeah, they had it was kind of like everyone was trying to be the most over the top for everyone except for Lydia. And it just was it fell flat for so many of them, like Charles. I don't know why, like in the movie, he's just like the normal guy. Like he's just kind of there. He
Yeah.
gets to sit in his office, let the girls do whatever they're gonna do, and just like have that space to himself and just be a normal dude, essentially. And then but then like he was so just I don't even remember. I just remember that he was just so over the top, like just so into uh
I think
do
yeah,
you remember the details?
it was the
Yeah.
intense, like they kept wanting to have sex with each other constantly
Yeah,
in
that's
the musical. And so it was these like like literally insanely dramatic moments of
yeah.
like I want to like make love to you right now, but we can't because we're looking for our child who has been kidnapped, or whatever. And it's like, can we not have those moments? Like, can
Yeah.
we like
It kind of like
you
takes
can take it seriously.
yeah, it kind of like takes away from the realism of it a little bit. Like it goes from being like, oh, this is like a funny little thing to oh, this is just over the top cartoonish. Uh
Right. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely over the top cartoonish. And
Yeah.
maybe that's what they were going for the musical. They wanted it to be more
Yeah.
like that. But that was a choice and I don't agree with it. But
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like they wanted to go for a younger audience, but then the concept that they chose to talk about is not for a younger audience, and they just kind of like shot themselves in the foot with that. Like it's like if you're gonna do that kind of funny stuff, like that's something that little like younger audiences would be more into, but for something that's serious, to make something so serious lighter, it just was a little too, it was like an overcorrection almost.
Yes. Yeah. hmm And
Yes.
I mean, even you can see that with the age of Lydia, the actress we read in the playbill, had recently graduated from high school. Like this girl is like 18, 19
Dang.
years old, and she killed it. Oh man, I wish I had a voice like that at 18, 19 years old. Woo! That girl did a fabulous job, I will say. Um, but she really brought that younger um personality to Lydia without being over the top.
Yeah,
She was like a bit more down to earth, and it's like, why is this like literal teenager the only one that is not
insane.
she literally has nobody else? Because even um Barbara and Adam are like off the rails on some of those things, and it's like they tried that for a second, but they were like, this isn't us, and they like got back down, down to ground zero, and like trying to do stuff that was their thing. And it's like they didn't want to they in the movie, Adam and Barbara would have been perfectly content
Mhm.
being bothered just like with their things that they love, like with this little village that they built. And like, yeah, they're fine with other people living in the house as long as there's like this coexistence that's agreed upon, kind of thing. Like, we know you
Yeah.
exist, we exist, we're just gonna be doing our thing up here. You guys can have, like, they were okay with that. And um in the movie for them, or I mean in the musical, for them to be so like um not like they wanted the whole space to be theirs, and they didn't have anything special in the attic that was theirs. And I think like that
Mm.
really took away from that space, like being a retreat for them. Like they didn't have anything up there that they loved.
Yeah.
Everything up there was like stuff that they're like, I actually hated doing pottery, I actually hated doing this, and it's like, what was keeping them on earth if
Y-
they hated all of these things that are
Yeah.
around them?
Especially since like they both agreed, like, oh, we didn't really want kids. I didn't want to be a mother. It's like, well, what was the point of all the hobbies that you were doing to distract yourself? Shouldn't that be stuff you enjoy? Like, what did you like about life? And then also like that little point kind of takes away from their relationship with Lydia, because I feel like in the movie they were like surrogate parents while she's also a surrogate kid. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why would they care to help her through this if like it's not an unfulfilled dream of theirs or something? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. Whereas like in the movie, it was like they had been trying and trying and it just hadn't come,
yeah.
It wasn't that they were like running from it. Like they really wanted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So also some of these like choices that they made for Lydia were interesting. These
Oh,
like,
are you talking about the end?
oh, I am. Do you want to wait?
No, 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 go for it.
Um, I um they put so much on this girl. In the movie, there were other adults were making bad choices, and like they were doing the things that were causing some of these issues, right?
Yeah.
And instead in the musical, they had Lydia doing everything.
Hmm.
Lydia was the one that accidentally like started exercising um Barbara, and it's like
Yeah.
that's that was not at all her intention.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that, she thought she was going to bring her mom back, but it's like nobody lied to her and told her that. Beetlejuice didn't lie to her like that in the movie.
Yeah.
I get that he's a slimy character, but he was that wasn't his goal. So
Yeah.
it's like that was really hard. And then her actually marrying him, the underage
Yes.
marriage going
Choosing
through.
choosing to do it because,
Yes.
and it was like her idea too. She was like, we
Yep.
have to go
And
through with
her
this.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm like, my father would never.
No, no. She
Oh
got
man.
Adam, Barbara, and her dad all in on the plan, and we're like, yep, well, like I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So that she could
So
then, yeah, go ahead. You can,
yeah, she can murder him. Like,
yeah,
oh, you're really putting this on your 16-year-old daughter, however old she was. Like, it's like you're her after like exercising a friend of hers, like
yeah,
basically making them go through death. And then she's running through the afterlife world, like trying to find her mom, has this like huge just breakthrough of like, oh my gosh, it's I need to learn to live in this world without my mom. I can't bring her from this place back into the real. Like she is like learning to accept all this. She goes through a huge heart, like ripping apart emotional
yeah,
traumatic time,
yeah. And
comes out, marries somebody, and then murders them. Like,
I know it's like you think
who's paying for therapy?
it's kind of like you think that she's learning like, oh, I'm supposed to like love the people that I have in my life, lean on them, learn from them, grow with them, like work with them to solve my problems. And then she still just does it all on her own. And
Yep.
in
And
a
they just
very
let her.
traumatic way. Yeah. It's like,
Yep.
no, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe we don't bring this guy to become a human and then kill him. And then also he kind of made it sound like it wasn't great to be human. Like he
Right.
didn't like it. He didn't enjoy it. He was like, this is terrible. There's so many emotions. There's so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the worst part of the entire movie or the entire show, where your favorite character
I know.
turns out to
Uh,
be Beetlejuice's mom. Uh,
uh,
what is her name again?
no, Juno. She
Juno.
was she she was great. I love Juno. And her character was, oh my gosh, in the movie, fabulous.
Yeah.
I loved this hard ass woman who's just trying to freaking do a day's work, all right? And these dead ass people literally are not letting her get her job done. And instead, in the show, she is just very over dramatic. She ends up being Beetlejuice's mom instead of like somebody that was training
Yes.
him. And so
Yeah.
that adds a new like element to their relationship. Um and he ends up getting the freaking worm to eat her, so she
Yes.
dies. And I'm just like, why? That's not like, I get that she wasn't a great mom. I mean, sure. However, like that's not
Yeah.
um
And also it's iconic for the
because
worm
also,
to
so
eat.
sorry, the other thing that I was thinking of is like she had to die at
Yeah.
some point. Because even in the musical, they showed her throat opening up and smoke coming out whenever she was smoking, because
Yeah.
that's what they did in the movie. She was a smoker. And so, and her neck was sliced somehow, some way, who knows?
Yeah.
Murder, suicide, I don't know. But anyways, so smoke comes out of that. And they made a big show of doing that in the
On.
musical.
Hmm.
So she was alive and died, but her son is a demon who's never been a human. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where's
They said that his mom was a demon, well, like when he was talking before it was revealed that it's Juno. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, my mother was a demon." Blah blah blah. That doesn't make sense. It does not add up.
right?
That would be the logic there. Um,
Yep.
and then
Um, so
yeah,
yeah, so I wasn't impressed with their choices for that character as well. I mean, let's just be honest, like plot wise, I wasn't impressed with a lot of choices that they made.
yeah,
Casting wise, I totally get it. They cast that musical great as far as like the main characters go. Like,
yeah.
um, didn't love the over exaggerant side, but that's not necessarily the actor's
Actor's
choice. That
choice.
could be a director, whatever, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah.
yeah,
But we learned Beetlejuice is socially liberal and fiscally conservative. So Beetlejuice for president.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be?
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
we're pretty darn close.
Hey, it's true. Oh.
I'm not even gonna finish
No,
that
if only they
sentence.
were as open and honest.
Actually knew
Yeah.
what they were saying.
But
Yeah,
anyways, yeah, so I did really like the casting of Beetlejuice and Lydia.
yeah,
I thought they were just perfect.
yeah. I thought they did
Really
it.
great. really
Amazing.
great cast, but
Yeah.
um, writing choices were not my favorite.
Yeah, I think a lot of the changes weren't necessary to drive the story. Like I kind of like I don't mind the idea that they went into like Lydia's mom and that passed because like Lydia did say I believe she said she was mourning, but like she wasn't mourning her mom. She was like mourning her old life or whatever in the movie. But it added like a little bit of like plot and feeling to Lydia that because she was one of the overdramatic people in the movie. Um, so it was kind of nice to see like a slightly different side of her in this, and because she had beautiful songs. Um, so I didn't mind that small shift, but like not everything needed to change in the way that they did because of that one little
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And in the movie, it's like she's allowed to be overdramatic because she's a teenager. Like
Yes.
she's the child. That's okay.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, I hate it whenever the adults are all like stupid and stuff, doing like really dumb. Like, I mean, I get it. Okay, we make dumb ass decisions. Let me tell
Yes.
you, we make dumb decisions. Okay, but it's like when you really have nobody to rely on, as a teenager, like that sucks. Whenever you're
Yeah.
like, you know what, my best option is turning to a demon.
Yeah,
And given
because
her options, I don't blame her.
yeah, because like in this case, it wasn't even she didn't even turn to Beetlejuice because she was trying to help the Maitlands. She turned to Beetlejuice because the Maitlands couldn't help her. Which are you first? Yeah, you were first for a
Yeah,
second. Sorry.
sorry.
It's not your fault. I was just like, wait, do I keep talking? But yeah, like it like the reasons for her going to Beetlejuice completely changed, which is kind of like hard to see like a teenager decide that she'd rather go to a poltergeist just to help her scare her dad versus trying to help save the lives of ghosts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like she's like in one, she could probably figure out how to scare her dad or how to annoy him or whatever it is. But on the other, like with the other hand, it's like in the movie, she felt like she was out of options, and the only way was to get somebody from the afterlife to stop this,
Yeah.
uh, and like her parents were in straight up shock and didn't really know what was going on. So like yeah. So they definitely weren't an option in that moment. So I understand going to Beetlejuice, but it's like at least in the movie, her dad like was this guy who was kind of like serious. He like um I don't know, he wasn't this over the top exaggerant kind of person, and it was somebody that she um could kind of rely on for some things. He wasn't a total like wipeout like I felt like he was in the musical. It was like hard
Yeah.
until they had that moment in like the afterlife world or whatever, where during home when they kind of came together. And it was interesting because it's like, yeah, listening to the music beforehand, you're talking like you definitely thought it was Barbara and Adam that she talked to in that
Yes.
moment that made her realize, to come home, like that this was her home now, and she needed to make it her home. And but then in the musical it ends up being her dad, which I thought is like that was a beautifully touching
Yeah.
moment. I hate that it was out of character for her dad. Like
Yes.
I was like, no, I wanted it to be better for him.
Yeah.
It felt like it was like this weird, like, oh my gosh, he's all of a sudden decided to talk about this, and now they're having this huge breakthrough. And it was like it happened so fast, and instead it like, and I wanted it to be more part of his character and his growth instead of like one scene and then all of a sudden he's a changed man, and you're like,
Yeah, there was no
no,
like
it's you
gradual
want the
leading
progressive
into
growth.
it. Yeah, it was just very
Yeah.
much like, oh, she'd rather go into the underworld than and look for her mom than stay here. Yeah, like I guess it was
Hmm.
supposed to be a wake-up call,
Yeah.
but I mean, she literally told him so many times. She got these ghosts to try to scare him out. She literally had a poltergeist take over their house and kick them out, and it still wasn't enough for him to talk about her mother. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah,
But I mean, I will say he did keep coming back for her. He followed her into those crazy places because he's her dad and he
yeah,
loves her. And like,
yeah,
again, love that. I just wish that we saw a bit more of that in the beginning, to where
yeah,
it wasn't such a shock um in the end that he like had this breakthrough. It's like, I wanted to see those little tidbits in the beginning sprinkled throughout.
yeah. I agree. I agree. I was also one thing just randomly that I noticed that I was very disappointed about is when they drew the door to go to the afterlife, Adam and Barbara, they didn't draw a door handle. It
They
annoys
did
me
not draw a
so
doorknob.
bad.
Nobody drew a doorknob. Ah!
Like they make it such a point in the movie to draw the little doorknob. They didn't. And
Yep.
I was like, where is it?
hmm
It just takes 2 seconds.
I was I I was waiting actually whenever they first drew the doorknob, and then he was like, "Oh, we have to knock," and he knocked, and at first, like for a split second, it didn't open, and I was like, "He's got to draw the doorknob,"
Yeah,
and then it opened, and I was like,
I know.
"No, what? Come on."
The doorknob. Doors don't work without them.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Would you ever want to see it again? I'm curious. For cheap? For like
Um.
rush tickets?
For cheap. Hey, rush tickets. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I think I would definitely love to see it again because I want to see if anybody takes a different take on some of these characters, especially the ones that we saw that were like over the top, exaggerant and everything. Like, does somebody take a more serious role on it? Are they allowed to? Like
Yeah.
was it just the director or the actor choice in that, or was it actually written to be this way and they want it played this way? Like
Yeah.
I think I would love to see it to be able to see different options
Yeah.
um,
I
of those
agree.
characters.
I agree with you. I think like for example in Wicked, I know that people have said that like Linda has progressed. Like she used to be a lot more serious of a character and she's progressed into this more bubbly and flippant character over the past 20 years. So it'd be interesting to see how different actors take these different characters. Yeah. I'm sorry if I talked over you,
Yes.
but you like completely froze.
No, you're good. You didn't. I think I heard everything that you said.
Okay,
Oh
cool.
no. Okay.
It's I think this means this is the end of the podcast episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
We have done our best. Dang, less than an hour. Oh,
uh,
it'll be an easy edit for you.
I guess so. I mean, I have a couple episodes that are shorter. Don't worry. Are you okay? So I'm curious, did this make you so you've seen Beetlejuice and you've seen Beetlejuice the musical, so you've seen more than most people. Are you I'm gonna use the word excited for Beetlejuice?
Mm. Um, I am so I'm interested because I do like Jenna Ortega who's in
Yeah.
it, and I think that I think I would love to see her play Lydia's daughter. I think that that is a great casting role for her.
Hmm.
If they do it in that style more like the movie where I guess I can see them taking it away more into the horror side of things. Um,
Yeah.
and even though I don't love horror movies, I still think that uh I think that it would be more enjoyable as a horror movie than as a like we're trying to be scary, but we're not. We're actually funny, but we're still trying really hard to be scary. Like I don't know. It was like a I definitely didn't see the horror in the first one, outside of the crude remarks and maybe some of the monster kind of stuff, like going into the underworld and seeing all the different like monsters. Okay, but
Yeah.
they weren't like scary. They weren't meant to be scary. They weren't trying to scare you. They were just showing
Yeah.
people whenever they died. Like
Yeah. I am I mean like I've tried not to like look too much into like what the plot is going to be because I one trailers ruin everything nowadays. But then two, like it's fun to go to a movie, like especially something like Beetlejuice and be like, okay, what's the sequel going to be without having to look at like not knowing exactly. Like you already know the characters, you know a little bit of the past story. So it's kind of nice to go into it without knowing already where they're
Right.
going. Um,
Yeah. Because then you
yeah,
can like go in with like fresh opinions and really just see instead of like reading or something where you're like, oh, they're gonna do that. That sounds like a really weird thing. But then you see it
yeah,
and it works, but you went into it not expecting it to work. So then it's kind of like,
yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, I guess that worked, you know, whereas if you just go into it, it's like, oh man, this is
Yeah.
like
Or I tend
uh
to do the opposite where I'm like, oh, they're gonna do this and it's gonna be great because it's gonna reference that and they're gonna do that. And then I go into it and it's the worst thing ever. And you're like, what? Why? Who wrote this? What's happening?
yeah. And you're like,
Yeah.
did you even watch the first
Yeah.
one? Did
Yeah.
you yeah.
That seems to be a theme lately. It's where people, the writers aren't watching things
uh
before they write for them.
Listen, don't even get me started on Star Wars right now.
They did just see apparently Danny DeVito is gonna be in Beetlejuice. It looks like in a minor character, which would be really cool. So I
You
hope they
cut out.
show.
I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. No, it's okay. I like looking at the cast list for Beetlejuice because I know Willem Dafoe is in it. I'm not sure what character he's playing, but I think that'll be really cool. And then I'm seeing that Danny DeVito is playing a character named Janitor. So maybe he's like an afterlife janitor or something, which would be really cool to see. Like, I don't know. I'm hoping they
Okay.
show a lot more of the underworld and show us like more like different people and yeah, like how they died and stuff. I don't know. It was just interesting the things that they came up with and the way that they made them look. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. That was the end of my thought.
Okay.
That's all.
Um, yeah. No, I think I'm with you because they're definitely like those background characters in the movie. Whenever you see them and you're like, whoa, wait, how did you die? Wait, versus that guy that was like flattened, right? And he
Yes.
was just like, and you're like, what fell on you? Like, what is your story, dude? You know?
I think for him, I always just assumed a steamroller. I don't know. But oh, you know what thought I had that I guess is relevant, and I'm just gonna throw this out there whether I'm gonna keep it in or not. But in the first movie, you know how we talked about how like if you worked in what do they call it? Public services? Is that what it is?
hmm
That meant that you like committed suicide. Um,
Yeah.
which would mean that Beetlejuice committed suicide. So I'm kind of like, what did he do? Because he's gross looking, like beyond gross looking. I'm kind of curious what he did to die.
Um, yeah. I mean, I think yeah, there's definitely a few of them.
Yeah. I don't know. For him, I'm kind of like, did he like drink himself to death or something or something along those
There's
lines?
definitely yeah. That's
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, I don't know. It was
hmm
just a random thought I had. But
Yeah. I
all
mean,
right.
that's why I think Juno's like neck cut is like so interesting because I'm like I want to know her story. Like why like cuz obvious like based on other things like at least she committed suicide and I'm like, "Oh man, did you do that? Did you do
Yeah,
that to yourself? That is crazy, girl." Like
I know. I'm kind of like, was she like one of those people that was just like, it's me or nothing or something like that and just went for it?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or she was gonna get in a lot of trouble, and decided to like she's like, "The afterlife is better." Cuts her throat, dies, and they're like, "Hey, by the way, you're in public service because you committed suicide." She's like, "The afterlife is not better." She's like, "I'm just trying to do my time."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe she gets less years in public service if she helps train other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get so many people through, you know, successfully. Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and thank you to everyone listening. It's been fun.
Yes, it has been really fun.
And for those of you guys watching, sorry for all the glitches that may or may not be in there, but yeah, join us next time. Bye.
Bye.